Calls are growing for Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis to step down from the election interference case against former President Trump. I mean, can she do the job with all that's going on? That's the question.
But I always have cash at the house. That has been, I don't know, all my life. If you're a woman and you go on a date with a man, you better have $200 in your pocket.
We begin this hour with breaking news just into CNN. The Georgia prosecutor leading the state's election interference case against President-elect Donald Trump is now disqualified.
Calls are growing for.
Okay, welcome to The Right Angle. Let's jump into it. So in a major legal case, or a major legal twist, Fani Willis has been removed from the Georgia RICO case targeting President Trump and several of his inner circle or outer circle, or however you put that, right? The Georgia Court of Appeals ruled that the trial court should have disqualified Willis and her team due to legal missteps at first. I would say, as a small note, the trial judge only dismissed Nathan Wade, Willis's lover, that she hired for her case against Trump, but he did not dismiss her. But now with this going on, we're learning Fani is off the case, and it turns out that using political prosecutions as a weapon while being highly compromised yourself might not be the best look after all. Let's see how this whole thing started.
Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis to step down from the election interference case against former President Trump. I mean, can she do the job with all that's going on? That's the question. She herself is snarled in a messy love triangle, allegedly, and faces calls to resign for paying her alleged lover, Nathan Wade, big money, $650,000, despite him having no experience. She put him on the Trump case, arguably the biggest case of her career, and paid him, and now stuff's happening. Here's Trump's attorney.
I think there's a general concern in this country right now, and this sheds light on that, Martha, in that we're appointing these individuals to positions of power where they have access to taxpayer money, and they're selecting cases to become more famous, not do the right thing. And then we see this slew of corruption that eventually comes down, including this story.
Florida Congressman Byron Donalds with this: the Lord did not cause you to stumble into $600,000 in taxpayer money because you're sleeping with the lead prosecutor. There's prosecutorial misconduct. Fani should be removed and disbarred. Steve Harrigan on the story in Marietta, Georgia now. Steve.
Harris, the fight today is over divorce proceedings, whether or not they should be unsealed, and whether that district attorney, Fani Willis, should be forced to be deposed to give testimony in this divorce case. Another hearing coming up next month will look at whether the two behaved improperly and whether they improperly used taxpayer money to take vacations. Many are already beginning to say that the district attorney should step aside.
So from the start, this case has been a lightning rod, right? Just pure unadulterated controversy. Many on the right saw it as politically motivated, accusing Willis of using her position to go after Trump. And you've seen this in the Jack Smith cases, the New York cases, and all else, right? This lawfare that continues to happen, or has happened tremendously under the Biden administration. The charges stemmed from claims that Trump pressured Georgia's Secretary of State to, quote unquote, find more votes in the 2020 election, something the Trump team has consistently denied. But we know how that goes. In this country now, it's more like you're guilty until proven innocent instead of innocent until proven guilty. It's funny how accusation can just bring down or try to bring down men. That's how people try to sort of rule in this country now, is just accuse your political opponents of anything and just see what sticks. And usually from what we see now, it's the other side that's actually doing it. So it's more projection than anything else. And what you're about to hear is how the appeals court stepped in due to concerns about all that. So the fairness and the potential misconduct tied to Willis. They ruled that allowing her to continue would compromise the trial's integrity. And with her out, the case might not be assigned, right? So we have to think about that too, which is, what's going to happen to this case? It's leaving its future sort of uncertain. Now, while another DA could take up the case, that seems unlikely given the politically charged nature of the situation. So that's probably why you're going to see a lot from the Trump team as marking this as a victory, as although it's technically not a case that's been thrown out of court or dismissed altogether, but it's still a victory if history and precedent proves anything. But let's listen more to what we could potentially see in the coming months.
Breaking news just into CNN. The Georgia prosecutor leading the state's election interference case against President-elect Donald Trump is now disqualified. CNN's Caitlin Polance is here with more. Caitlin, what can you tell us about this? This is just coming in the last several minutes. This is a big development.
A big development, and a big development that Donald Trump has wanted for a long time. That case against him in Georgia, the criminal case where it's accusing him and several others of a racketeering conspiracy related to the 2020 election, it's already been paused. Now it's not even backburnered. This is a case that will be dead in the water because the Georgia Court of Appeals is now saying that Fani Willis, the leader of the prosecution against Donald Trump, the district attorney in Fulton County, Georgia, she should be disqualified from being able to bring that case. The Georgia Court of Appeals is saying that it's a significant appearance of impropriety caused by the conduct of a public prosecutor. That is Willis, how she behaved, how she was speaking about the case, about Trump publicly, about how she was having a relationship with the top prosecutor that was concealed in this, a man named Nathan Wade. All of that, previously, the trial level judge had looked at and said, Fani Willis can stay on this case. We're not dismissing the indictment. But the Court of Appeals is now taking another look and saying, no, the trial judge was wrong. Fani Willis should be disqualified from continuing to lead this case. It would be a long process, or it will be a long process, to replace her, which is why I say this case is dead in the water now without Fani Willis, the person who was leading this case against Donald Trump in Fulton County. And just to keep tabs on how many cases there are against Donald Trump criminally, the other two in federal court, January 6th, and classified documents, those are dismissed. And then the additional case in New York City, where he was set to be sentenced, that sentencing is now not happening. So as Donald Trump enters the presidency, each of these courts that is handling a criminal case is essentially removing that issue from him to have to deal with in any period of time in the near future.
So there you have it. And as she said, legal analysts are calling this a zombie case, unlikely to be pursued by any other DA's office in any Georgia county. And for those that don't know, a zombie case is a legal case that is technically still active, but unlikely to proceed or reach any kind of conclusion just due to various factors. And obviously with this case, given how politically charged it's been from the beginning, it's hard to see that anyone picks it up in any meaningful way. You'll probably see something like a DA picks it up in one of these counties. Hopefully their DAs have good integrity, unlike Willis here, and they dismiss the case because it was foolishness to begin with. Now, you have to look at the whole picture, right? You see that the process is already on shaky ground. You see people losing faith in these institutions, in our institutions. I think with the appellate court, with this decision removing Willis, it does kind of ensure more fairness, and it starts to get people to trust more of what we're seeing from the institutions that serve us, to serve the people, right? And when I think about it, I also think about the bigger picture, and that leads me to think about what questions does this really bring forth for us, because this is just a start, right? And the question that comes to mind is, what does this mean for justice moving forward? We've always been told that justice is blind, but history has shown otherwise. From Jim Crow era injustices to the political lawfare that Democrats wage today. Fairness in the legal system hasn't always been guaranteed, but that doesn't mean that we have to give up. It doesn't mean that we have to say, well, it is what it is, because that kind of attitude is what leads to more trouble. Again, like I said before, it's not about Donald Trump. It's about the precedent. And it's also about reminding the Fani Willises, the Alvin Braggs, the Letitia James of the world, that they can't just do these things and have the justice system used as a political weapon. They can't just figure that the American people are going to let corruption go unchecked. And they have to know that we are going to keep them accountable. And accountability is really the biggest source lacking in our country today. These people have to be accountable, and that means jail time, that means charges, that means real accountability. No slaps on the wrist, no, oh, I'm sorry, and then you go off into the sunset. But this is starting the chain. This is starting to be real. So hopefully we'll get there. And it really does feel like progress. It feels like America might just be finding its way back. And I'm very hopeful for that. We'll keep an eye on that for the right angle as we move forward. But, anyway, if you like the content, please like, share, subscribe to my channel. And as always, remember, please stay curious to stay out there. We'll see you soon. Peace.